little bit like this. I didn't even pick it up. I just turned it. He's like, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it. But it looked like it was from the World's Fair in New York, 1939.
I've got a Mickey Mouse knife from that World's Fair.
But I mean, I was just fascinated by all this stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot of native art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, and the most unusual sinks in the bathroom. It was like a bowl, like a ceramic bowl that kind of looked like the kind of a real rug or something. And then it had another little flat thing here where the water spout
I love
was.
those. Those are cool.
I'd never seen. You know, it's like, oh my god! And then the little things, just amazing.
Yeah, we've got murals in a few places.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
Yesterday. They had their seats.
This one?
Yeah. 2 minutes? 1 minute?
Really? Like a wrap?
1 minute. It's 9:59.
Is there actually somebody there?
Yes.
And they're actually.
So we have a name for the countdown, and they just sort of begins this open hand with it. 58 people, 57, 56 of the charge for. Very little like that.
We should have that be actual meetings and we
The
can
actual, like, drum roll.
and watch the 2 hours tick by.
We
Faster after the 1 hour. When you see a big
And there's no response at 1 hour mark. That's kind of Mickey seal on the front. The guy had it all outfitted. They just got a radio to Foster. It's got, you don't worry about mileage.
No.
All right, it is 10 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, and we're ready? Good morning, everyone, and thanks for attending our sunrise service today. This is an unscheduled emergency meeting of the Board of Directors for CROA. It's March 27th. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. And again, seriously, thank you for attending. And you too, we actually have a person in the audience as well. So the first thing we're going to do is verify the meeting was properly noticed.
As it's an emergency meeting, it did not need to be posted 48 hours ahead of time, but I think we were almost there.
Right. Great. And we do have a quorum. Everybody's sitting in their seats today. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we will call this meeting to order at 10:02. Do you have any owner comments, either from you or anybody that's online? Nope, okay.
Are there any residents online, Laura?
There
Yeah,
are
there's a
two
couple.
residents online.
Right.
They have, neither of them raised their hand.
People in the circles, but I can't, I'm
know,
trying to
but
read
the
their
top
names.
circle is Jose, I think.
It's Mike and
Mike,
Jacob.
Guest, and Jacob.
I'm always trying to read them, but they're too
Okay.
far away.
Good morning, sir. We have someone who's just joined us. Okay, do you have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
And Ken? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. We have 3 action items today. And the reason this is an emergency meeting is if you read what the action items are, you will see that there are things that we can't wait until our next meeting, which is on April 27th. So that's why we're all here. So the first action item is a motion to approve a 1-month service agreement with Prince and Sons to perform landscape maintenance on sports fields in the amount of $5,900. And again, that's just for a month. Lauren, do you want to, or
So
Natalie?
yeah, I'll give the background. This would apply to both A and B, the background. So we noticed benchmark of the termination of their contract and we issued an RFP to replace those services. However, after a couple of questions from the various vendors that we sent the RFP out to, we needed to push back the due date, which would leave the board without a contractor for a month for the sports field and a good portion of the
Major parks.
So that's why we queried our existing landscapers in the community that we already have contracts with. Prince and Sons was the only one to have availability and willing to step up and manage those parks for the 1 month period.
Do I have a motion to accept that proposal?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Just a point of clarification. The item listed on the agenda, item A, the documentation in the packet is actually B. And for item B, the documentation is item A.
Okay.
So we are actually approving the A item, which is 5960, but the documentation in the packet is under action item B.
So we couldn't contractually start with them until a month, and so this is like a project?
Yes.
The 5,900? Okay.
And it's less than the normal.
Well, they're within your operating budget.
I think Dave was gonna, so how much do we traditionally spend per month to maintain those?
6176.
Yeah, 6176 and a little.
It's like $76,000 a year to maintain that field.
No.
No.
Well, documentation under B, which is
No,
really
I'm
A.
saying, no, we're talking about we're talking about all the pocket parks now.
Oh, okay.
They're out of
sorry.
sequence.
Got it,
Okay, here it is now.
got it.
Who that? Okay,
And so then come the April board meeting, would we have
Now
a,
you'll have the
okay.
RFPs are due back to management April 7th, and then we'll have a couple of weeks to review each one of them,
Got it.
all references, et cetera.
Do you know which service area were they awarded?
Roseville and Blue Sage.
And they're.
Yep.
Okay.
anybody else have any other questions, concerns?
I think I'm the only homeowner present as far as I can see here. Good morning, all. And I'm trying to figure out why we're having an emergency board meeting on a Monday morning at 10 o'clock to 10:30 that's asking for increased monies that you just got an increase for the new year without giving the homeowners, setting this at a more appropriate time for the homeowners to attend this meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
My name is Sunita Trellis, and I'm a resident here. And speaking
What's
on
your
behalf of the homeowners, my first question would be, why are we having a meeting on a Monday morning? I know it says emergency, but this is not appropriate, I don't think, to have a meeting to get more money for landscaping, which has already been divvied out based on the last increase you all got before the new year. And this meeting is set at an inappropriate time to where other homeowners are unable to attend because they're working. And yet again, in this meeting, you're asking for more money for landscaping again, or to the sum of over 60,000. I think before you pass this, more homeowners need to be aware of this meeting so they can attend this meeting. Because what is that going to mean for the homeowners? Is that going to be an increase?
Sam, hold it.
Mute.
I'm ready to answer your question. This is Cindy. Okay, so you probably missed my introduction at the meeting today. The reason we're having this meeting is because we have terminated our contract with one of the landscapers, actually two of them. We've terminated our contract. We sent out proposals, a request for proposal from several companies. They were not able to get it back in time to us to select a new landscaper to replace the one that we didn't renew the contract. The two first items on here are just for a period of 1 month. We needed to hire someone who could come in and fill in the gap between the old contract and the new contract. And both these quotes that we got from the person that's going to fill in for this month are less than what we were paying the guys who were doing it before. So we're not asking for extra money. We are just hiring somebody for 30 days for April to maintain those parks until we get another proposal from another company that would handle it. The other item on the agenda is to keep the process moving on the repairs of the 851 building. I'm sure that you realize that after Ian, we've discovered multiple problems. We have the walls open here at Town Hall. If you've been in the building, they need to be repaired. And this is to keep this process moving because it's all, when did Ian come through? September. So these 3 items are urgent. You know, this is being filmed, correct? So anybody who is concerned about what the emergency is, that's it. And I think I don't think that the residents would approve of us not having somebody to maintain those parks in this month. I'm certainly not going to go out and mow them. I don't think you have time for that. So that's just a little stopgap. Well, not enough for you. That's just a little stopgap there. And then like the other thing is, this building has been in a shambles since September. So we need to keep that moving and not wait until the end of April to have our meeting. Does that answer your questions?
Well, could you state her address, please?
She may be gone. Is she gone?
She's
on
there.
Okay. Does that answer all your questions? I hope so.
Yes, it does. I'm sorry, I was muted. It does answer my question. I have another question. Well, is it a question? I would just appreciate that these meetings be, I know this is an emergency, so I have a twofold comment. Number one is that okay, so you terminated the other landscape. Now that landscape company, I think you just got a call, or CROA may have gotten a call from my neighbor saying that they need to be terminated because of the shabby job they've been doing in Spring Lake. So I'm in agreement with terminating them. But in the first place, why are we hiring all these people within the community? I mean, the painters that took forever, lives a block away from me, they didn't do a good job. And so the landscape people were also living on the premises. I think we need to hire people that are not residents in the community. And that's my only other comment. Sorry about it.
No worries. Okay. Thank you, and thank you for getting up early to attend. Okay. All right. So let's call the question on the first item. All in favor?
Aye.
Second? Anybody opposed? Nobody's opposed, so we're
I
good
did
with
want to
that.
correct you to say that, I'm sorry. I think I muted
No worries.
myself again.
Uh-huh.
I've been up very early. I'm a lawyer, and I have to take my daughter to Celebration Elementary every day on top of litigating. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The traffic alone. Yeah, really. Okay, the next one. Motion to approve 1 month service agreement with Prince & Son to perform landscape maintenance and former benchmark maintain parks and facilities in the amount of $40,900. Information?
Again, this is within your budget because of the timing of the RFP and needing to change when responses are due. We queried our existing landscaping companies. Prince & Sons was the only one that was able to step up and accommodate the 1 month coverage. So this is actually less than you were paying benchmark for the monthly service.
Somebody make a motion to accept this?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second,
David, discussion?
and in fact, it's less than half of the prior amount.
And this is the same scope,
Same scope.
same,
Mhm.
okay,
1 month.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Charles
Okay.
and David seconded it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, hearing none, that has also passed. Last and not least, motion to approve CERTA as the engineer for Town Hall repair project in the amount of $23,500. And Paul?
So after the remediation work was completed here at Town Hall, we engaged reconstruction experts to issue an RFP on CROA's behalf for an engineering company to come out and do destructive testing so we repair the building correctly. We received 3 bids back for Ferris, CERTA, and Lurch Bates. After the liaisons reviewed the RFPs and interviewed 2 of the companies, the liaisons and management is recommending that the board approves CERTA as an engineer to do the destructive testing and prepare the RFP for the construction work.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I'll second.
You could be first.
No, you can start.
I wish to be a gentleman occasionally.
So that's Bill and Celia. Any other discussion?
Can you just talk through what this scope is, which is, I mean, we have the price here, and then the future? I mean, what's a potential outline? Bill had a summary about why to go with CROA, which I thought was very helpful. But can you talk about the bigger picture? The bigger picture.
The bigger picture. So
Just in some of it you may not know, or timeline.
we need to engage an engineer so we know specifically where the water intrusion is coming from, what's the appropriate way to repair the building, to make sure we're doing it correctly instead of just putting a Band-Aid on the building.
So this is diagnostic,
This is
not repair.
Correct. So they will tell us where the leaks are coming from, what's causing it, and then they will prepare a scope and recommendation of the appropriate way to fix the building. We will work with them and reconstruction experts on budget management. They will help us determine what is truly necessary versus what is just a good idea. CROA was the company that came in and did the initial work for the Celebration Hall Advisory Group piece. So they're aware that there's a potential for expansion and there's conversations around that. So that's one of the other good reasons why you should approve them. So they will be having a lot of discussion and conversations with you about next steps and moving forward and not throwing good money after bad.
I have a question. So the revision is slightly different than the one that we got initially. So they're going to do what you just said with the, all that stuff. And then if we should decide that we want to go forward with some kind of reconfiguration of the inside or whatever, we'd be looking at 45.5, which is what, because they had just, the first group is rehabilitation only, which is what we're approving. And then they had another section that was pre-design phase, addition and reconfiguration. So we could just, this has already been taken care of. So we would be looking at $48,000 as opposed to $54,000 should we decide to go from that point. Yes. Okay. With them or whatever. Okay.
Just to clarify, this is coming out of the operating fund? Because this is,
Currently,
okay,
yes.
so this is,
And I would add, once they've done the water intrusion investigation, they would be on under contract, assuming we authorize them to go further, to do construction and design drawings. And if we go to construction after the bid process, they would also do the construction administration.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Construction administration?
Yeah.
Basically,
Administer the construction.
basically making sure that the contractors are doing what
Oh,
they're
so
supposed
they'll
to
be
do.
checking out.
Overseeing
Okay.
it.
Yeah, got it.
They'll do field performance testings, standard stuff. And then they'll do a final punch list and closeout letter. And we should get end of project documentation and so forth, which I would expect they would be responsible for delivering.
So when you talk about the remediation of the building, you talk about what was necessary and what's a good idea. So they may come up with options.
Yes.
Here's what you need to do at a minimum that will secure, from a water intrusion point of view, the building. But if you were to do this, then here might be an extra benefit. It's going to cost a little more. If you do that, it's going to cost a lot more. Here's some choices. And that's just to secure the building. And then beyond that, it goes to what you were talking about is the redoing something on the inside. Maybe there's a different footprint. Those are other ideas to be discussed. And then they help us in those designs.
I think the intent is to get the building stabilized back to a position it was a year ago, so it can be used for the programs it was a year ago.
Right.
And do it in such a way that we're not doing anything that is wasting money because we're going to reconfigure it down the road.
Or we might.
Or at least nothing significant.
Well, then the one thing they did mention was that there's supposed to be that kind of heavy layer of sealant, kind of a another layer of something from the outside that we did have at one time, I guess, that has now gone because
Well-
it's eroded so much and it's
Well,
not
not the wall, but
in the between.
at the bottom, where the wall meets the ground, it doesn't meet the ground anymore, which is why we had a lot of water run in when it got really deep outside.
I misunderstood. I thought there was another layer of
Well, there
some
is,
kind of
but we don't,
protection on the envelope.
we don't know what it is because they haven't opened up the wall.
Oh, but then, well, never mind. Doesn't make any
Yeah,
difference.
there should be there, but, they're gonna have to cut one of the exterior panels open to see what the building system consists of.
Yeah, I noticed that they put out their leak investigation site visit. That's where $1,250 in savings came from, because they realized that there was already plenty of holes in the building, I think, probably.
So if we approve this, what's kind of the time horizon for getting like ballpark, repair, like start on repairs and then just numbers of what it looks like to bring it back baseline, reconfigure, just so we have some data points.
I think you probably looking at them being out here in the next couple of weeks, then writing a report and coming up with initial recommendations. Then you're looking at soft numbers at that point.
Yep.
And then if you decide to go out to construction bids for some piece, then you're doing another RFP for construction bids. And then those bids are going to be your hard numbers. So that's probably a couple of months down the road.
Hard numbers are a couple
At
months,
least,
but
yeah.
the soft numbers will probably show up sometime in May.
Would hope so.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
And then the 7.75 to 8.75, that's of the construction, so we're gonna pay that.
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever that looks like.
And part of the thing on Thursday when we interviewed them was, one, can you sharpen your pencil because you've already been here, and they did that a little bit. And the other was, how fast can you get us to construction bids, because we've already lost a lot of time getting to this point, which is why there's an emergency meeting, so we don't lose another 3 weeks. Hopefully we'll get this building back up and running. I would like to see it by the end of the year. Of course, that takes construction bids, and I'm assuming, because they're very experienced at this, they kind of already know what the answer is. They just need to come out and do it officially. So I'm hoping that we're gonna get a quick turnaround, and we get out into construction bids 90 days, 120 days. I think that would be good.
We've also been supplied the ServPro report that kind of points to what ServPro thinks the problems are.
And they've got all the original construction drawings from when the building was built, so they've got a huge background of information to work off of. They just need to come out and cut open a wall here and there and get an understanding of how it was actually built, because sometimes you get your as-built, which you come at the end of the project in case they change it, and we refer to them as should-have-built, because that's not exactly how it was built, but so you need to check it just a little bit.
So Bill, you may have said this. Help me understand. So when they write the report, is that report basically the guts of an RFP? Or is there a different kind of report that says, here's the specs that a contractor, when they bid, needs to follow?
No, I expect we're gonna get a report that tells us what the problem is and gives us an idea of what the fix will be. And hopefully a soft number at that point. Then, assuming whatever we approve, they'll take that to design drawings, which then become
Who
construction.
takes it to design and construction?
Sure.
Is that part of
Yeah.
this scope?
Yes.
Okay.
This is
okay.
kind of like a
Same with
phase.
the
Okay, so there's
RFP.
like two parts on that.
They'll write the RFP, they'll manage all of that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't registering.
Yep.
Not enough. Happy.
Jared, you got any take on this? You
No, everything, I agree with everything Bill's saying.
Okay. That's good.
Any other questions? All right.
Let's move forward.
Yes. Do I hear a motion?
We
You
made
had
it.
one.
I'm sorry.
Bill
It's
is
too early. Apparently I didn't have enough coffee either. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Didn't think so. Are there any discussion items for today anybody would like to bring up?
There was discussion in February of bringing to a close and sunsetting the Lochte SME group. And so I wanted to bring that up again. That was something that was supposed to be on the March agenda, and we didn't do that. So I just wanted to see, I wanted to recommend that we start taking action on that
As part of the April agenda?
here.
Now?
You
Yes.
can't take action on that.
Okay, then yes, as part of the April agenda.
You can discuss it, but you can't take action on it.
I thought they were inactive. already.
Ooh,
I thought they were inactive already.
Talk about that.
Can we
Where you
discuss-
been?
Can we discuss
You can
it?
discuss it, yes.
The discussion.
Yeah, no, I just,
No, it's my impression that they are still very active in discussions with, still at the stage that we are now. So,
But they're not talking with CERTA.
no, we're not talking about that.
Okay.
We're talking about the
Latte.
latte.
So what,
The,
what's kind of the, I guess, how active, like, what's kind of the today landscape?
What's
of-
their role today?
Yeah, I guess.
The only real role they have remaining is, once we get the final numbers back from Pulley, is we'll digest them and put them in a package that will go to the board for your review. So it's fully outlined. They'll make a recommendation to the board as to how to go forward, but they're really just kind of there as experts in terms of what's needed for the pickleball courts to be functional.
They'll make the recommendation.
Well, I'll make a recommendation and they will have a recommendation as well.
But the pickleball courts is already drawn out and decided, and that's really all they were supposed to be discussing. It really shouldn't have anything to do with the rest of the landscaping or anything else.
It's like bringing the Celebration Hall project back in my opinion, into this town hall discussion. And I guess just a little bit confusing because the group has been sunset. And I guess to that point, do we need to vote on anything, or is this just?
You need to
Or-
sunset them because they were appointed as an SME group to work through the project.
Or weren't they already sunset through a board?
The task force was sunset, but they were turned into an SME group as part of the RFP process for the working with KPMF on the initial drawings and the RFP for the construction bids.
And to clarify, that was a board vote that converted them from.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know
think
if it
pretty
was
much that
necessarily a
phase
vote,
of the
but it was a
project
board
is done.
action.
Yeah,
taken.
just-
I guess a clarification,
So-
they're not they're not calling up Polly and
No.
giving them, so they're really, they will get a way in and have their opinions and
Yeah.
stuff, but they're not between us and the contractor
They're
or the
not engaging
architect.
with Coletti or Foley.
Just to be clear also, they're not getting any more information than any other resident is getting.
No.
Okay. And they're not given any position higher than any other resident would give in terms of feedback to us.
Correct.
Okay.
They were brought in basically because they play the sport. So they kind of know, none of us knew anything about pickleball.
Sure.
They kind of know the sport. So they were saying, well, we don't want to just put asphalt there because, or, blah, 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 blah.
So you
So,
want to lay out the course a certain way.
yeah, with sun and, that kind of thing.
No.
So,
So it's a sunsetting.
They did a lot of initial legwork before I was even here
Right.
in terms of developing the RFP and the specs for the courts.
Right.
so that being said, what about the Communications Advisory Group?
They met once.
So, is that,
Well, the
Implementation group.
comms AG group
Implementation.
was sunset. The
it
comms
was
implement-
officially sunset?
Yeah,
Okay.
then you created a comms implementation group that was Jose, Liz, David, Krista Thompson, and Janine Brandt,
That was created through
a board action.
When?
define a board action.
There was discussion, I don't remember if you voted on it,
So it was
or
not
if it
voted.
was just a
I don't know.
board discussion and, hey, we're gonna do this.
So the board, so it doesn't exist. Correct. It
I
should
would
have
have
been.
to, I would have to double check if it was in a meeting or not. I can't recall.
I
Well,
don't
we did-
recall that.
I don't recall it being voted on in a
We
meeting.
didn't
I think
sunset
that
it
was
either
a-
though,
I
right?
think that was another.
The advisor group was automatically sunset at 90 days, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so both of them are,
Both of
yeah.
them.
The SME group and the implementation group are groups that were not necessarily created by a board vote, but by action of one or multiple board members that are no longer here.
Okay, thank you.
So so you said they've met once.
But at the time, we didn't have a communications specialist on staff. That was part of it.
And Jose just came on board.
I also think, and we talked about this at the organizational meeting, we need to sit down as a board, right, and focus on the strategy. And communications obviously has been a major point that I think, and I won't speak for all of us, but it's something that we probably do want to talk about. But those conversations need to be had, in my opinion, by us to ensure that that aligns with our strategy and goals. And
Goals and objectives. I have that on my list for you guys.
so I guess in the April meeting, is there a vote?
Do we want to,
Is it-
do we want to disband this group as well?
You can't take action today.
No. I mean,
No.
I'm talking April.
April.
Yeah. I just figured as long as we were doing one, we might want to think about doing the other and,
Yeah.
you know, so we don't have.
Because we have.
Just clean it up.
Dangling participle.
Clean it up.
I mean, and new board members and obviously new focus and and we're doing a strategy session at some point.
Would you please? Anything else? Okay. Any board comments about anything? I have one. I asked for I sent out like a little questionnaire when I got back from vacation. I've only gotten one response so far. If you, for whatever reason, choose not to answer my questions, that's fine. Just let me know so I'm not waiting for it. But if you've been thinking about it, you know, can you just send it just so I can move forward? It would be a big help to me. David?
Guilty.
I know. That's okay.
Oh, you know.
Not guilty.
I think we all know I'm feeling
And that speaks to, that was a request. Yes, I'll do that.
I know.
And then too many other things have happened. I forgot.
I know.
So
That's why I'm just
I
reminding
go
everybody.
back to something I said a month ago. I would love a master checklist so I can go to the checklist and say, oh, I have not yet reviewed the minutes of, or I have just help.
Mhm.
It's just too much flying. So just help.
Yeah,
Rather than another email.
I will note that management was not included in that
Correct.
email,
Yeah.
so that's an email
Oh,
just above.
Yeah, but just something that just like, here's the weekly, and could just be among, I don't know. I just need a reminder rather than another reminder on top of.
Well, I was gonna send out an email, but since we're here.
Oh, we had.
No, but thank you for the reminder, and please,
And like I said,
please
it's-
resend, because I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the thousands of emails, literally.
Okay, I will do that.
Oh, we had a hard stop at 10:30.
Well, I had a quick question on the different committees.
Yeah.
I've focused on ARC and on Finance Committee. Am I supposed to be giving a recommendation for the other committees only because I don't know a lot of those people? I'm not exactly.
I will
The committees
explain
are-
it to you till later today.
Yeah, the committees are appointed by a majority of the board, so you will vote on whoever are nominated.
Right, but I mean, when I'm doing the recommendations,
Yeah.
have recommendations in mind for those two committees.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I really know enough.
Well, that's why we're doing the whole the orientation session, the videotaping. So if you don't know some of those people, at least you can, you know, put a name to a face and maybe it's like, oh, I know who that is, you know, kind of a thing, rather than, okay, does anybody know this person? Okay, David knows him, Charles knows him, nobody else knows him. What do you guys think? Fine, okay, good. You know, just to try to give us some more information before we actually make a decision.
To Bill's point, that's one of the things that I was recommending is that the liaisons, like Bill knows the ARC people and I don't know the ARC people. I would be interested in knowing what his opinions are for that.
Well, and that's why we're doing this initial, you know, pick 3 in the case of 5 or pick 4 in the case of 7. So at least we can narrow the scope down because there's some committees have 12 and 13 applicants. So hopefully that'll narrow it down a little bit and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I also, I think all of us know something about each of the committees, and we do have redefined scopes of their responsibility. So I'm going to be looking at, I have not started, but I will be looking at who applied. So here's 10 people, and we have X number of spaces. And then how does that match the goals? Some of those will be returning and some will not. So I'm doing that based on what we have a revised form that gives us more information. So I'll be looking at what they said in terms of their skills and their interests.
Yeah, and you can
But
also.
each of us has different lenses on that, and I
Right.
think that's the power of a group of 7.
Yeah.
Because we'll come at it differently and I don't have a history, like looking at, ARC or companies.
And I believe, Lauren, you mentioned on Thursday, after we had the interviews, about perhaps on these committees, having non-voting members, particularly in the technical committees like ARC and like Finance, where people could then be on the committee for an extended period and be up to speed for a future year. I think that's got a great idea.
Yeah, I was thinking of that in terms of if we have 5 slots or 7 slots, having an 8th or a 9th there so that we could have a backup ready to go. Okay, looks like we have another group coming in.
What was the date that we were supposed to all
Yeah,
have those to you guys?
Oh,
I
okay, we're
didn't
waiting on
specify
that.
a date.
Everyone, this is Prince and Sons. Wanted to introduce you to them. This is our board of directors.
You missed it.
Well, you need us or?
Approved.
Go work. Okay, we can get to work.
Do you guys have any questions for them, their background, anything like that?
No?
No,
Just the fact that they showed up is
Remarkable.
remarkable.
Well, we've been sent others as 10.
Sorry.
That's
Should have known.
I didn't realize what room it was, so.
Well, what's up?
Well, way out of your hair.
Anybody else have anything?
No?
Any questions?
All right.
As far as the committees, Lauren, is the management, like liaisons, going to be part of this orientation? Because that's important.
One more question. We voted covenants is back up to 7, right?
And special events. we-
Special events. Okay, so those.
Yeah, technology has the same thing, whereas 5, 7, but historically we've done 7, so I'm gonna assume we're gonna correct that to 7 and 7.
And just,
Well, they all have a range,
yeah.
no fewer
Well,
than.
no,
this,
no,
and
no.
more than-
And
It goes,
sometimes-
but this is the high end, says 5, or it says 7 and has 5 in parentheses or vice versa.
5 to 7 or.
That's just if you only
But
got
it's-
5
But
volunteers.
7,
Or
right?
3 to 5, yeah.
3 to 4, you don't have
Some
to.
cases.
Yep. Yep.
But that's done because years ago, we didn't have 13 people applying to be on a committee. So we figured, well, at least if we get 5 for this committee, we're good.
Yeah, no, there was just, and this was across all the resolutions, and it's been multiple years, that they haven't matched on a number of them, and so we corrected it.
Yeah.
So maybe just put something in April that we can
Correct.
correct that from the
Technology.
technology committee. Thanks.
Anything else? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Charles, second?
Second.
Jim? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Yeah, sounds good meeting.
And thanks for coming. We're